evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fire Up. We're got an awesome lineup today with an awesome crew, and we're going to talk some NFL playoffs and one or two coaching vacancies that have popped up over the last, I don't know what, 2-3 weeks.
8.
Yeah, I was going to say there's quite a few, but I'm going to first introduce my panel. So the first one is Mr. George Eichhorn.
Hello, George. Candy. Good to be on with you guys.
Sounds good. Then it's Smoking Jeremy B.
Good evening, everybody.
And back by popular demand because of all of his comments lately, Will Vogel.
Glad to be back talking nothing but sports. Gotta love it.
Awesome. And then none other than, not last, not least, Ralph Williams.
Thank you. Thank you, Candy, for having me on. Guys, it's good to be here tonight.
You're welcome. Okay, well, we've got a hot lineup. I'm going to start with the NFL playoffs because there's some important games coming up. There's some interesting games coming up this weekend. We're going to first start with what are your thoughts on Saturday's lineup? Browns, Texas, and Dolphins, Chiefs games. And I'm going to start with Ralph.
Dolphins, Chiefs. I think it's going to be a dogfight, Candy. The Chiefs are not as good as advertised. They've blown some key games this year, and I believe the Dolphins could probably pull it off. But my issue with that is they have a lot of injuries in some key positions, and I don't know what kind of depth they have, as far as that goes. But if it was my score would be 17-13, Chiefs. And as far as the Cleveland Texans games goes, I'll tell you what, the Texans, don't sell them short. They're a dangerous football team. They have a new coach that has them fired up down there. They've beaten some key teams, including the Steelers this year. And I got to tell you, the Texans are not that bad of a football team. And Cleveland, they better be ready. And Kevin Stefanski, he better get his act together and not screw things up. Go for it on fourth down and lay an egg and some other stuff. So in order for them to even have a win, I think that game's going to be a close one too. The Texans have a great defense, have a good defense, and so I'm saying probably, we'll say 20-14. I'm going to go with the Texans.
George, your thoughts of Saturday night's lineups?
Well, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I know that the first one on NBC is, as you mentioned, Cleveland and Houston. I'd like to see Cleveland go and win. I mean, I'd like nothing better to see Cleveland and Detroit meet in the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. That's kind of like my dream wish, because those two teams met back in 1957, I believe it was, the last time they played for the NFL championship against each other. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. I agree with Will, though. I mean, it's going to be a hell of a game. Houston's playing some really good ball. I don't know if Cleveland can win on the enemy's surface on the turf. So I am going to go with Houston by a field goal on that game. The second game, which most of us will not see unless we have the Peacock package, Miami and KC. Miami does not have a good record, as Scott pointed out on one of his recent shows. In fact, in cold weather, they're really bad, the Dolphins. But they have a good set of weapons and offensive line, good and good blocking, and they've got a good running game, and they've got a good receiving game. They can be very explosive, as we know, in some of those crazy blowout wins they've had. Kansas City, on the other hand, we all know it's just been like a merry-go-round this year. It's not been a good year for them, up and down. Never did they think they'd have to play in this round. They were wanting to get the bye, obviously, but only Baltimore and San Francisco got the byes. But that being said, I still think Kansas City's going to win that game. I'm going to go with a touchdown on that one. So I'll go 30-23 in favor of Kansas City in that game.
Okay. Smoking Jeremy B.
The Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans are probably the most competitive game here because Noah Brown Nico Collins, and Robert Woods are all healthy, so therefore they do have a decent wide receiver core for CJ Stroud, who by far has been the best rookie quarterback we've seen since what, Andrew Luck?
Yes.
So I Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett's coming back off of an injury. He's been limited at practice all week. There he is still a game time decision on if he'll be able to play. If he's not able to play, I could see Texans getting it running away. But if he plays, I still see the Texans winning because of it being on the road. And, you know, we got Joe Flacco, who has been doing great, but struggled a bit when on the road. Dolphins at Kansas City. Dolphins are missing Raheem Mostert. Waddle's banged up. Hill is still banged up. And I know this is the Hill revenge game is what they're making it out to be. It's supposed to be 0 degrees. He's been in Miami 2 years. He's not used to that cold. I don't think he'll do well there. I think they're going to struggle. And also, when that ball is colder, it's deflated, which makes for a better grip, but it doesn't fly as well, which Mahomes will have the advantage of playing with that the whole time. I think they're going to win by about 4 points at least. I think Kansas City's going to win. If they had more than one wide receiver that could catch a cold on the team, I would go bet more than that.
Okay. Will.
Yeah, the main intriguing thing with the first game is you got the rookie quarterback against an established veteran who's bounced around the last few years. And CJ Stroud, I got to see him in person in Carolina. And this guy is killed at his rookie year and should win rookie of the year. And you got Robert Woods, a good veteran receiver, and you got Nico Collins against a good Browns defense. Like Jeremy said, Myles Garrett's coming off an injury. They've got Amari Cooper and Joe Flacco. They don't have Nick Chubb. He's been out the whole year. So I give the edge to the Texans because DeMeco Ryan should win Coach of the Year as well because he has just coached that team so well. As for the second game, I think that's the best game of the day. It may not be the highest scoring game, but it is a good game because it's Tyreek against his old team. Tyreek's banged up. Waddle's banged up. Mostert's banged up. They've lost Bradley Chubb on defense out for the year, which was a big blow to their defense. And they're going to be playing in cold weather, which, as Jeremy said, and we know, the Dolphins don't play good in cold weather. They've slipped up lately. So for the first game, I've got the Texans winning 27-24. And in the second game, I got the Chiefs winning 20-17. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
So let's quick go to the chat room. And George, I'm going to ask you to read these for me, please.
Sure. Hatter's House, 710, checking in from Los Angeles at enemy territory. Go Lions! And Braylon, Dennis, thanks for joining us. I got Browns winning by 7, 27-20, and I got the Chiefs winning by 7, 23-16 as well. And Hatters, again, I'm going Texans because everyone is counting them out and have been doing it all year. But the Browns are better on paper.
Thank you.
Hey, we've
Thank
heard
you.
that line before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, let's go out on a limb. I'm torn between the Browns and Texans. I think that's going to be a really close game. I'm going to give the edge to the Browns only because rookies, not that the rookies can't because they're at home and they've been playing awfully well, but I'm going to give the Browns the little bit of an edge there. Then Dolphins Chiefs. This game, I'm going to give it to the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs have not, neither team have had the season that I think they thought they were going to have. They're just not firing on all cylinders. And I think this is the wrong time of year to not be firing on all cylinders. So I really think that because of that, and because it's both teams, I'm going to give the edge to the team that's at home and that is used to playing in that stadium and more in those elements. So I'm going to give the Chiefs the edge. The thing about this game that really irritates me, and I realize streaming is the way life is going, because let's face it, we're streaming right now and stuff like that. But You expect the public to pay for your stadiums. You want us to put our money in the stadiums. You want us to pay for everything. And yet you can't let the average fan who can't afford to maybe be at the game or doesn't live in that area, and now we've got to pay also to watch the game as well. I think that's a travesty, especially when you're talking about the Super Bowl champs and we're in the playoffs. I could see a regular season game, but the playoffs, you should want everybody to watch, and you should not make it so that someone has to pay to see it. My personal opinion. But you want us to pay for your stadium, then you better let us watch your games. And if you don't want us to pay for your stadium, you pay for the whole stadium, all of the cost. And then you can start streaming like this and asking us to pay that. But that, again, is my 2 cents. So let's go back to George. We're going to go back to, there's a couple more comments here.
Yeah, Chiefs will win a sloppy game, and it could be sloppy for two reasons. Number one is the the up and down offense, and number two could be the conditions, because we are getting another winter storm that's coming through the Midwest Friday and Saturday, and maybe a little bit more on Sunday. We don't know. Chiefs receivers suck at catching the ball.
I mean, that's as
Well,
plain
it's
and
also
as
cold
simple as
water.
it gets.
Especially in cold weather.
Yeah.
So let's go to Saturday's game. And George, since you're up first, we're going to start with Steelers Bills, then Packers Cowboys, and then the creme de la creme, your favorite, Rams Lions. What do you think?
Yeah, we got a triple header, and I agree with you on your rant, by the way. Thanks for sharing your opinions on that, Candy. I agree wholeheartedly. Game one is going to be on CBS, 1:00, Steelers, and there you go, Ralph. Your team did make it. I know there were points during the year that you were saying it was obviously going to be very touch and go whether they did, but they did. They qualified. Mike's boys finished 10-7. The Bills, again, you talk about another team and that kind of up and down for me. Okay, 11-6 record, but Josh Allen has a heart of gold. What a warrior he is! Unbelievable. I'm not going to take anything away from him. Just terrific games. All of them are going to be terrific, but I'm going to say the Bills on that one. It's going to be in Buffalo, but the Steelers are used to playing outside. But I just don't see the Bills losing this game. I really don't. I mean, they've been there before. They've got so much playoff experience, and Josh Allen, quite the leader. So I'm going to go by. I'm going to take the Bills by a score of 24-17. Next up on Fox, and another surprise. I'll be honest with you, Candy. I did not think the Packers, at least early until they beat Detroit on Thanksgiving Day, I didn't think they had much a chance of anything, but they did. They won the wild card. I give them credit, 9-8 against the Cowboys, 12-5. We all know what happened there. Cowboys stole one from Detroit, or shall we say the refs maybe stole one. That one is still going to be a great game. What a great history between these two teams. Oh my God, the Frozen Tundra games and all the games with Tom Landry and Vince Lombardi, and you got Bart Starr and you got Aaron Rodgers, and great quarterbacks, Roger Staubach over the years, and I just think that I on paper, obviously, it's a very very close game, maybe, but I think the Cowboys they're so good at home, and they're gonna end up winning by 10. I'll go Cowboys 41, Packers 31. And then the last one, I'll try to be as fast as I can here on NBC. Mike Tirico, you're going to have to eat your words, okay? You and your little asterisk you wanted Detroit to have after beating Kansas City in the opening night on Thursday in September. Well, here you are again, sir. You're calling the play-by-play at Ford Field for the Lions, 12-5, and the Rams, 10-7. We know all about it. Jeremy's been talking about it all week, Scott and I and Candy. I mean, what a revenge game you got here with Matthew Stafford against Jared Goff. And I'm not going to go against the Lions because they are home, and Goff really wants this game after the way he was treated by Sean McVay and some of the folks in L.A. This is going to be a hell of a game. I'm going to say the Lions 29, and I'll say 23 for Stafford's Rams. So a Lions victory.
Okay. Will, I'm going to put you up next.
Cool. So the first game, as we know, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. So congrats to him and the Steelers for getting into the playoffs. With that being said, you're playing a Bills team. Yes, they haven't had the greatest year either, but you're playing Buffalo, and I expect Buffalo to win. TJ Watt's not playing this game, so that's a big loss for the Steelers defense. So I got the score being 24-10.
Ooh.
To 10 Bills. The next game is Cowboys Packers. As we know, Mike McCarthy used to coach the Packers, and the Packers have won the last 2 playoff meetings against said Cowboys. With that, and the Cowboys are not good against the run. With that being said, I got the Cowboys. Still, you got Micah Parsons, Dak's playing well, CD Lamb's playing well, Tony Pollard's playing well. I got the Cowboys winning 31-21. In the last game, the best game of the weekend, you got Rams, you got Lions, 2 quarterbacks traded for each other. The Matthew Stafford homecoming should be a phenomenal game. I'm excited. 2 fun offenses. You got great playmakers on both sides. I give the edge to the Detroit defense, though. They got more studs on the defense, even though the Rams do have Aaron Donald, who's won multiple Defensive Player of the Years. With that being said, I got the Lions winning 34-31.
Okay. Thank you, Will. Mr. Ralph, starting off with your team.
Okay, first of all, TJ Watt is hurt, but we have some good depth at backup position. We have Marcus Golden that we signed from the Arizona Cardinals, and we have our draft pick, Nick Herbig, all right, who is Nate Herbig's brother, who also plays on the team. So I think that the Steelers defense can hold its own with, Omar Khan, our general manager, went out and got some decent guys who are here to provide depth, unlike some of the stuff we had out of the junkyard by Kevin Colbert last couple of years. All right. This time he went to the used car lot and got these guys. All right. So, as I said, I think it's going to be Steelers 20, Buffalo 17. It's going to be a 17 all tie, and Chris Boswell kicks the winning field goal. That's just the way I'm looking at that. Dallas and Green Bay, as said before, this is a great rivalry, George said. But I think Dallas is going to pull it out. I'm looking at 27-17. And then we'll go into the last game of the night, which I think Detroit's going to win. Dan Campbell's one of my favorite coaches. I like Detroit. I think they're going to win. It's going to be, I think it could be a dogfight, but I think they're going to win. And I see Cam Sutton on the defense having an interception or 2. So we'll see what Detroit does, but I'm going with 24-17 Detroit.
Okay, Jeremy, I'm going to put you up, but if you would read off some of these comments.
Except for that Rice guy, which is Rashee Rice, their rookie that they got out of SMU. That guy from the Chiefs. He also says, I hate the Packers and Cowboys. I want Dallas to lose even more. Bills winning by 10, 30-20. Only way the Bills lose is if they have multiple turnovers, and I agree with that. I have Dallas winning a close game, but I want Green Bay to win. And then Hatter's House says, Lions by a million. Let's effing go. That's what LFG stands for.
Okay, and now your picks for those games.
I have a close game between the Steelers and the Bills, but because they're at home and they circle the wagons well, I do have the Bills edging out the Steelers. 24-21 game. I think Mason Rudolph has proven he's a much better quarterback than everybody thought he was. He's doing better than Mitch Trubisky did, and way better than Kenny Pickett and Flickett did as a signal caller. He's spreading the ball around more, which is, it shows because he helped George Pickens win my fantasy league for me. But That's another story. Packers at Dallas. One thing the Packers got finally right is Aaron Jones is fully healthy and he's running well with A.J. Dillon. That is a great 1-2 punch. And that is something Dallas has struggled with. And look, I think they have a big chance to win this game. As a matter of fact, I'm going to call for it 24-21. Detroit showed the recipe on how to beat Green Bay at home. It's take away the run, let CeeDee Lamb eat, and just control the red zone, which is something Green Bay has been doing really well lately. Let them eat between the 20s and then stop them in the red zone. The Lions versus Rams. Matt Stafford has to be traded. It is not a Matt Stafford revenge game, people. He asked to leave Detroit. Jared Goff is the one that was taken by surprise and told that morning when he got there, hey, you've been traded to Detroit. Nobody wanted to hear those words before that day. Ever. You've been traded to Detroit. Look at Michael Brockers. He was dogging Jared Goff and then found out 2 days later he was traded to Detroit. It happens. Nobody wanted to be here then. We had a team of stripped down to the studs and was awful for a year. Then we got better talent. Went 9-8. Now here we are at 12-5 versus the 10-7 Rams. James Houston has been at full practice. I guess after practice today, Laporta was running routes and taking blocking drills. So he is actually trending towards playing possibly Sunday. With James Houston in that lineup opposite Hutch and using him as they should as a pass rusher, I think it's going to be a long day for Matthew Stafford. I got us winning by 10, 31-21.
Okay. So one of the things that I don't think any of you guys touched on in the Steelers-Bills game is also the weather. We talk about the weather in the Dolphins-Chiefs game, but the Steelers-Bills game, they're supposed to have high winds, snow, and it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be a little bit warmer than the Chiefs game, 25 degrees, but snow and wind might really affect these two teams. I'm thinking it's going to be a low-scoring game. I do think I will give the edge to the Bills, but I think it's going to be low scoring again. Packers, Cowboys. Well, we all know I'm a Wisconsin girl. I can't go against my Packers. Did I ever think that they were going to make the playoffs this season? No. And I realize this, that when I say this stat, the Packers are 4-0 at down in Jerry's world down there. But that, granted, that was not with Jordan Love. I will give you that. On the other hand, I've seen Mike McCarthy coach. So let's face it. I honestly think that there is going to be some coaching blunder that he is going to have in this game. And I think it's going to cost them the game because I think, let's face it, the Packers have absolutely nothing to play for. There's no pressure on them. Nobody expected them to be there. Everybody expects Dallas to be there. Everybody expects Dallas to do really well and to win. And they've had such a phenomenal season at home. I get that. But I think there's going to be a blunder, and I think the Packers are going to surprise everybody. They're throwing the ball really well. Jordan Love is connecting with all of his receivers, not just one. Yes, Aaron Jones is back, and Aaron Jones is playing much better. Now, there's question where if A.J. Dillon will be ready to go or not. He is injured. The question will be, but I see the Packers edging them out. And then I see Mike McCarthy possibly losing his job. On to the next game, Rams-Lions. Obviously, it's always these interesting games. You know, Tyreek is playing against his own team. Stafford's playing against his own team. But
Is playing against his old team.
McCarthy's coaching against his old team.
Exactly. A lot of interesting storylines. I do think Dan Campbell is going to raise the level of his team up to be ready for this game. Yes, there have been some games lately where they've made some mental mistakes, and I'll say that they've made mental mistakes. I don't think other teams have really beat them. I think they beat themselves on a couple of these games. So I think Dan Campbell will really rise to the occasion and get his guys prepped and ready to go. They're playing at home, which makes it that much better. They don't have to travel, or anything like that. And as much as everybody loves Matthew Stafford, I've never been the best fan or his biggest fan either. Yes, I know he has a Super Bowl. I get that. I just don't think he has the same team around him, and I think Dan Campbell can outcoach Sean. I really do. So I give the Lions props. I think they'll take that one. As for the Monday game, let's go around the horn. We're going to start with Jeremy this time. We have Eagles versus the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers at home. Baker Mayfield has resurrected his career. He led the team to a division championship. The Eagles have been struggling of late with the Matt Patricia bend don't break defense. Imagine that. They have been struggling to win games. They've lost 4 of their last 5. I think they're losing their 5th out of their 6th. I think Baker Mayfield and the Bucs win at home in a close game, 24-20.
Ralph, what do you think? Monday night game.
Well, I agree with Jeremy of the fact that the Eagles are struggling. And you know what? I like Tampa Bay here. They have some guys on defense that can play. Baker Mayfield has a spark in him. The only thing I'm concerned about right now is the fact that Baker Mayfield has several injuries, and he needs to. And if he's healed from them, that's good. If not, that's a concern to me. I think Tampa Bay pulls this off because the Eagles have struggled in a big way here. They miss Shane Steichen and they miss Jonathan Graham. The guys that Sirianni has hired, obviously, and Matt Patricia being the new defensive coordinator, defensive play caller, or whatever his job is. And, so I agree with Jeremy, too, that Matt Patricia, I think, has lost his luster a little bit around the league after his head coaching job failed. And so I'm going to take the Buccaneers here. I think they're going to win. It's going to be 17-14.
Okay. Mr. Will, if you would read the couple of people that are commenting.
Smoking Dad says, evening, everybody. Eagles, Bucks, snooze fest, Braylon Dennis says. Upset alert, Bucks win 20-17.
Okay, now your take.
So, the Buccaneers, Mike Evans kills it every year. He almost guaranteed 1,000 yards receiving each year. Like everyone said, Baker Mayfield has resurrected his career, and personally, I think he deserves a contract after this year by the Buccaneers. Also, the Eagles have lost 5 out of their last 6 or something like that. But yeah, Jalen Hurts busted his middle finger. A.J. Brown's dinged up. Devontae Smith's been dinged up. This Eagles team's not the Eagles team of last year that made the Super Bowl. With that being said, like I said, Baker deserves a contract. I think they get this game. They shock the Eagles. They beat the Eagles. I've got a Buccaneers win 20-17.
Okay, thank you. Mr. George.
Yeah, Raymond James Stadium is going to be rocking. There's no question about it. Monday Night Football, the only game that day. Our friends Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will be behind the microphones. This is the 6th postseason meeting between the Eagles and the Bucks, and the Bucks have won 3 out of the previous 5. That being said, I do agree with what most of you guys have been saying here. I mean, there's something wrong in Philly. There's been something wrong all season. And I mean, the injuries and the coaching changes, and this was nothing that nobody expected this, really. I mean, at the beginning of the year, a lot of people had Philadelphia or San Francisco to win the NFC. But boy, oh boy, they're about as far away now of that happening as the Philadelphia Eagles can be. So you got a number 5 and 6 seed. Typically, this can go either way. But I am going to join the sentiment of most of you guys and ladies. I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay winning this game by 24-17.
So my question to all of you, and you can do a thumbs up if you think it's going to happen or a thumbs down. If the Eagles lose this game, does the head coach remain the head coach or do they fire him? What do we think? George thinks no, that they'll fire him. Jeremy, fire him. Okay, Ralph thinks they're going to stay, but everybody else thinks they're going to let him go. You know, the Eagles are not, like everybody has said, the Eagles are not the same Eagles that we started even the season with. Are they? I don't think they're going to do it. I think Baker is going to get, a win at home. They have the edge just by being at home. And the Eagles have a lot to play for, don't get me wrong. But I don't think they pull it off. I think it could be a close game. It could be a close game. Sometimes it just depends on which Buccaneers team is going to show up because sometimes they can be very good and sometimes they can be very not good. So which team is going to show up? Okay, so let's go back to the chat. And George, if you would read these. Let's see, we started here.
Hi, Patty. What's up? Football postseason. Green Bay upsetting Dallas. Candy likes to hear that. And Patricia gets fired, Patty says. And they're not firing him. He means the head coach, Braylon means. Patricia gets fired, not Sirianni. He could be right about that. Matt Patricia's on borrowed time right now. I mean, they just haven't made any strides defensively with him. And that's just my 2 cents on that.
No, I agree, George.
Okay,
Yeah, so do
so we have seen what I would say a plethora of coaches getting fired. We have vacancies for the Chargers, Falcons, Patriots, Seahawks, Raiders, Commanders, Panthers, and Titans.
Wow.
So I want you to, out of all of those, pick one that you think is the most interesting and who might go take, and then tell me which one is the least favorite or the least desirable out of all of those. And we are going to start with Mr. Ralph.
I think the New England job is the one that I would take if I was or trying to become a head coach. Although New England's going to interview all of the former Belichick disciples, Brian Flores, Josh McDaniel, those guys. But and Mike Vrabel. But so I think that the New England job would be the job I would want. The one I don't want is the Carolina job. That's a job I do not want. Because Dave Tepper, who actually has a degree and is from Pittsburgh, and his family's from Pittsburgh, and they have their names all over buildings at Carnegie Mellon University, which is one of the most expensive universities in the United States. So what I can't figure out is how this guy got all these degrees at Carnegie Mellon and can't understand and have any common sense not to hire 2 coaches and fire them immediately and have to pay $70 million or whatever it is they're paying them. These 2 coaches. So therefore, I think that's the worst job, Carolina, and I think the best job is New England.
Okay, Will.
So I think the best job is the Chargers job because you have a good young quarterback in Justin Herbert. I think he's a great talent. I think this sky is the limit for the guy. That or, I know you said pick one, that or the Commanders, because you got Sam Howell, who's a decent quarterback, and that team is not terrible. The worst job, hate to say it, I'm a Panther fan. I agree with Ralph. The Panthers job is terrible. Tepper is not a great owner. The team played horrible this year. Their O-line is not great. They've got a bunch of receiver 2, 3s, and 4s playing receiver 1s. So I would say that's the worst job. So I know I picked 2 on the first one, but I'd actually go Chargers as the best. Worst, the Panthers.
Okay, Jeremy, if you would read, we have some more. Let's see, we've got some more here.
I agree with Braylon. You're talking about Patricia gets fired in Salem. Why did the Eagles get rid of their previous DC? Because there was an issue in the locker room with them.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Patricia going to get a job at Alabama as a water boy. Pete Carroll fired. Pete Carroll was not fired. He retired and has became a special advisor to the team. So that is hearsay about the firing. Least desirable, the Panthers. Best job, the Chargers. Vrabel firing is stupid too. Vrabel has been a great coach. He has nothing to work with. He is 44-45 over his 4 seasons.
Yep.
So he has a losing record after 4 years. That usually denotes a firing of some sort in the NFL.
Okay, and then your takes.
The worst is Panthers, then it's Atlanta. Then you insert any of those mid teams, and you have to include the Raiders in there because that is still a coaching vacancy because the interim head coach has not been hired. So therefore, that is a coaching vacancy. And believe it or not, Justin Herbert has a record of 29-34. You know what that
Whoa.
means? He has a losing record as a quarterback. He is a mid quarterback. He is not a great quarterback like everybody said. He is very, very overrated. So I have him in that mid range with Atlanta, the Washington Commanders, and all of that, in the middle. But the top 3 jobs to me is probably Seattle and New England because New England still has a defense. All you need is an offense there. They need a wide receiver weapon and a quarterback. That's what they need. They've got good running backs. I mean, Zeke is dead, but that's another story. But that's my rankings.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm going to go with Washington because they've got over 80 million in cap space supposedly. They got an owner that they finally out from the shadow of that silly Snyder, and they got an owner that cares about football and wants to win really bad. So I'm going to go with Washington, and I'm going to go with Seattle as my number 2 because Pete Carroll did a really good job there. They're always tough. They're very, very tough. I mean, they played in the Super Bowl in Detroit. They've beaten the Lions like 3 years in a row or whatever, 3 last times. I mean, Seattle's got a good foundation. They'd be number 2 choice. Carolina, and, they got all kinds of coaching candidates, including the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. Carolina really, really is got to be the worst place for me to go. They've got a lot of question marks there, and certainly they have not been playing well at all the last few seasons. So it's interesting, Candy. There are so many openings, and like you said, Jeremy, there could be 1 or 2 more. With Vegas, and then you got so many guys out there. My God, Jim Harbaugh has been rumored. I mean, he would probably go back to Chicago, or some people said Las Vegas wants him really bad. So I mean, there's a lot of guys, a lot of movement, man. It's always Black Monday, but I didn't expect, both Belichick and Pete Carroll leaving, but they both are. So it's going to be interesting. Good discussion, though, guys. I want to hear what you say, Candy.
I think it's been really interesting. All of the long-term coaches really being let go. Let's face it. The rest of the whole league, who's got the longest? Who's been the longest? Tomlin would probably be the longest.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin.
yeah.
Yes, as of right now, he is. Yes.
Mike Tomlin,
Yeah.
Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, the other coach at Buffalo.
Oh, Sean
And then
McDermott. McDermott.
Andy Reid, and then I think it's Dan Campbell.
No, what about McCarthy? How long has he been in Dallas?
Yeah, McCarthy's
He's
been
been
in Dallas.
McCarthy
Yeah.
was not there before Dan. He got there
I
after
think
Dan.
so.
I'm pretty sure he got there after Dan. He was
Well,
hired the
Dan's
same
only
year
in his
even.
3rd year. I don't know, but they're close.
So the one thing I would say about the Patriots job is, and I don't know how many of you know this, but Jared Mayo actually has a contractual succession plan in place that has been filed with the league and everything like that. So I don't know how soon he will be moved up, but he would be able to bypass a lot of the other coaches, and they wouldn't have to interview as many because he has this plan in place. So whether they're ready for that or ready for him, I'm not sure. I just think it's very interesting that Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and we have to throw, I mean, I know he's not in the NFL, but Nick Saban. I mean, think of all of those big jobs that
And
we have
Ron
got.
Rivera too, Candy. Ron Rivera was with Washington for a little while, and then he
Yeah.
was with Carolina. So, Ron Rivera's got some tenure in the league too.
He's a very good coach, I think.
Yes.
Still, he's
I
got
do
some
too.
mileage left, of course.
I
Right
agree.
now, the rumors
I-
for. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Go
right
ahead,
now, the
Jeremy.
rumors that I'm hearing for here in Detroit, Washington, the Titans, and I can't remember who the other one is asked to talk to AG, and then it's Washington, Panthers, and now it's rumored Seattle wants to talk to Ben Johnson.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
Detroit could lose both their coordinators.
They
The
could.
coaching. Yes.
Yeah. That's a price you
Now-
pay for success.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. If you have good
Yeah.
things going,
Hey, look
But
at Philly.
AG
They
was
lost their
voted-
coordinators and head coaching.
Yep.
Yes.
AG was voted the most liked coordinator in the NFL.
I saw that, Jeremy. Yeah.
So, and it leads credence to what I said mid-season. I think Aaron Glenn would make a much better head coach than a coordinator because he will be that players type of coach that'll get the guys to rally behind him, much like what Dan Campbell has done here in Detroit.
Good point.
Yeah, it is a good point,
Okay,
Jeremy.
so back to some of the. We did that one. We did that
Mhm.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Best job is Chargers.
Yep, we did that.
We did that.
We did that.
Besides Derek, and I forgot about Atlanta. Okay. Washington has some decent weapons on offense with Terry McLaurin. They also got a very good defense. Their secondary is
Yes.
solid. Their linebacker core is mediocre to good, and they got three good pieces still. They still got 3 first-rounders on the D line.
Yep.
And don't forget Sam Howell. I mean, Sam Howell's not a
Yeah,
bad
Sam.
quarterback. And he was a scrapper in college when he played for North Carolina. So
Mhm.
I like Sam Howell. In fact, I thought Sam Howell was going to get drafted by the Steelers. I didn't expect him to take Kenny Pickett. But
Brian
played
Nobody
it
did.
out. Yeah.
Brian Robinson's pretty decent too as a running back.
Yes.
Yes, he is. Good
Yeah,
point.
they have some talent there.
The
Yeah.
guy I wanted the Steelers to take in the first round was Tyler Linderbaum.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. We need a center. I heard we're going into the draft this year to get one. We need a
All
center.
right. Best Seattle, worst Panthers. Seattle has decent weapons too.
They do.
The
Mhm.
Raiders would be, I cannot say that word on here, so I will say mentally challenged not to hire Pierce. I think if Goff stays, Ben Johnson stays. I think it's just the opposite. I think if Ben Johnson stays, Goff stays.
Right.
And Patty Grimes says, Jeremy, when do you get your coach interview? God, I wish
I
it would
was
happen.
waiting for that.
Hey, Jeremy, I got a coaching job for you with the Mean Machine.
Oh, I don't know how well I'd be good at coaching inmates.
That's one tonight. The original one.
Oh,
Not
nice.
The Sandler one. Yeah.
The best one.
Okay,
yeah.
with that, gonna go around the room. If anybody wants to do a parting shot, they are welcome to it. I will start with Will.
My parting shot is I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. I love talking sports. It's my passion. At work, I think about sports. At home, I talk about sports. I can't stop talking about sports. You guys can find me, and Candy and Scott. Thank you guys And Jeremy, thank you guys for bringing me back. It's been so much fun. I love being here. But you guys can find me on Wednesday nights on Jeremy B's channel, talking NFL Round Table. Thursday nights, you can find me here occasionally, talking football or whatever they want me to talk about. Friday nights, I am on Jeremy B's Lions Fan Cave chat. So, again, thank you guys. Love talking sports with y'all. Love talking sports with anybody. Feel free to reach out to me because I can talk any sport anytime.
Sounds good. Thank you for being on, Will. Mr. Ralph.
Well, I want to say this to you, Will. Pursue your dream, man. It took me a while to get to my dream. I'm 55 years old. I graduated from broadcasting school in 1991, and I started out on TV, and then I was on the radio for a little bit. I got out of it because I got disgusted with a couple of things, and now I'm back. I've been back now for about 3 years between podcasting, and now I have my own radio show in Western Pennsylvania, and I'm handicapped now, and I'm fulfilling my dream. The dream is for me to be on Pittsburgh radio as a sports talk show host, and now I think I'm going to be the one that's going to be left, me and another guy, because Odyssey has filed for bankruptcy, and I heard that they're going to be doing a lot of syndication and things like that. So I was going to go work for Odyssey, and I'm glad I changed my mind and decided to stay where I'm at. So that's what I'm doing. But my parting shot is this: these coaching positions that are open, whoever, my interesting thing is to see where Eric Bieniemy goes. Does he become a head coach or does he stay as a coordinator? I hear he's a bad interview. So I hope that my parting shot is I'd like to see Eric Bieniemy get his due as a head coach. He's a good offensive mind. Look what he did with Sam Howell in Washington. It was just sad to see Jack Del Rio get fired there, and for Eric Bieniemy and to be left there, and for Ron Rivera to step down. But my parting shot is I hope these coaches find their way somewhere else, maybe, or some of them find jobs as coordinators or working for the new UFL football league or something like that. And I hope that whoever the new coaches they hire have a lot of success. That's my parting shot.
Okay. George, your parting shot.
Well, my parting shot is, even though the bad weather is heading towards Detroit, it's been a wonderful week. We have had a celebration that is continuing and will continue, hopefully through Sunday night, as the Lions finally get a home playoff game. A team they haven't played, by the way, in the postseason since 1952. And no, I was not around back then. Jeremy was, but I wasn't.
I was not. My dad was.
Anyways, hey, listen, it started with University of Michigan and the great victory that they had over an outclassed team called the Washington Huskies. And now, of course, it's going to continue with Dan Campbell's crew, and what a great job, what a great season they've had. So it's nothing but happiness here in Detroit. But on a sad note, one of the gentlemen that's going to be missing Sunday night is the Detroit Free Press longtime sports photographer, Kurt Dozier Jr. Kurt, we're going to miss you. We already miss you. He died suddenly. He was going to be covering the national championship game down in Houston, and the Free Press is obviously every sports fan here is at a loss that we lost him at so young an age. He's done a great job with his photography. So I want to just give my condolences to everybody at the Detroit Free Press and the Dozier family and all sports fans. We're going to miss you, Kurt, and we wish you heavenly happiness.
Okay.
Well said.
Yes.
Yeah, my condolences.
Yeah.
Thank you.
After 30 years, we can finally say the Lions are division champs. It's been a little longer, almost as long, to say that Michigan is a national championship. Let's keep this rolling. And everybody says they want the Browns to win because they want them to go to the Super Bowl for the first time because that was the last time we faced each other was that World Championship my dad listened to on the radio when the Lions beat the Browns. How about we let a new team in? Texans versus Lions.
Yeah.
I like that. 2002, youngest team.
Okay, well, my parting shot. I'm going to say kudos to my husband. He fulfilled a lifelong dream this past year in writing a book. He wrote a book. It's called Lessons from the Microphone. And here I'm going to put a little, it's up here by Ralph, kind of blocking Ralph. I apologize, Ralph, but they're Lessons from
It's
the
all right.
Microphone.
Hey, it's a great book. It's a good book. Yes, it's
It's a
I
very
haven't
good
picked my copy up yet, but I've heard the previews of it. Yes.
It's insightful. It talks about his 40 plus years in the media business. It has pictures of him interviewing Muhammad Ali. It has stories in it. It has things about if you want to start in journalism, how journalism has changed and the media has changed over the 40 years. It is available on Amazon and on Kindle. Go out, purchase the book. It's a great book. That's my parting shot. Kudos to my husband for finally realizing his dream of becoming an author. And now he's going to write another one. So stay tuned for that.
Nice.
Let's quick go around the room and everybody can quick go around and say how you can get a hold of them or where you can find them. We're going to start with Ralph.
Okay, first, Candy, I have this for Scott. All right. So anyway, you can get a hold of me on Facebook, YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel. You can also get a hold of me on LinkedIn and Twitter X platform. And on Tuesday nights from 4 to 6 p.m., Sports Corner Radio Show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Beaver County Radio. This week we're doing a Pitt Panther football closing show. I have a couple reporters coming on, and then we have our wrestling segment from 5:30 to 6 p.m. And of course, open phone lines. So don't forget. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and don't forget that the 23rd we have a Steelers special we're going to do, depending on how far they go in the playoffs. We're going to have a Steelers special on the 23rd. And so there we are. That's my information. Oh, by the way, RalphWilliams737@gmail.com or www.rwmedia.org. Sorry.
No, that's fine. George, how can people get a hold of you?
Well,
The other
much
author
like-
in the group.
That's right, Candy. I got to plug the South Florida Tribune, the Motor City Tribune, where you'll find great writers like Jeremy and Candy and George and Scott. And we try to bring you great stories on football and other topics. Also, you can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com. And you can also find a link to my book, which is Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, at the end of my column. Feel free if you want to buy a copy of that too, in addition to buying Scott's book, of course. You can also reach me on Twitter at SanGSports99 or on LinkedIn under my name, George Eichhorn. Great to be on the show, and obviously the platform here with other shows as well. I really enjoy being.
Thank you, George. Smoking Jeremy B.
Oh, that's me, Smoking Jeremy B. You can find me on Twitter at Smoking Jeremy. You can find me right here on the South Florida Tribune.com, writing for the Motor City Tribune underneath guys like Scott and George. And you can also find me on my channel, Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. And soon to be starting next week with a morning show on the Villain Squad at 10 a.m. Daily Lions talk show. So please check us out. And anytime Fire Up's on, whether it's Thursdays, Mondays, Sundays, I don't care. It'll be me and Candy at least every damn time.
You got it. Okay. Mr. Will, how can people find you?
Like I said before, Wednesdays you can find me on Smoking Jeremy's Bees NFL Roundtable. Thursdays you can occasionally find me here, and Friday the NFL and the Lions fan cave chat with Jeremy B on his channel yet again.
Okay, well, Will, I want to thank you for your comments on some of our other shows. That's what actually landed you on this show. And if there are others out there that want to put comments out there and want to be on our shows, that's the way to do it. Comment, like, share us on our broadcast. Share the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. We have a plethora of shows. We have a baseball show. We have Inside the Pigskin. We have Sports Exchange. We have Pundit's Pundit. We have Fire Up. We have Professor and Pupil. We have Fire Up Wisconsin, Fire Up Michigan, Fire Up Florida. We have Motor City Madmouth show. We have lots of shows. Go share us. Go check us out. Go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you will see I actually take sports photography. So you will see some of my photos on there. You will find writings from Jeremy, from George, from Scott. You will see transcripts from Dolphins, Lions, and Jaguars, although Jaguars season is now done, but the others are up there. And we have a lot of college. We have a lot of FAU. Check us out. If you're interested in any of those, go see our website. If you like to listen to podcasts, the audio version of this can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you ever want to sponsor one of our shows, please call Scott 954-304-4941. Guys, this has been an awesome experience. I've enjoyed every minute talking sports with you guys. I want to thank you all for being on this episode, and I want to thank everybody that commented in the chat room. We had numerous people, and I want to thank each and every one of you. If you want to be on the show, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com, and you never know, you might get a guest appearance just like Will did. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody. Any last thoughts? Jeremy, you want to close us out?
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts within here. Much love, everybody. Thanks to Hatter's House, Smokin' Dad, Braylon Dennis, Patty Grimes. All of you chimed in and had a great show. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.